Hey, welcome back to another Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. This is episode 550 of the Ping Pong Flix Show. It's getting really exciting because DC Fandome is coming up, so that is in itself is exciting. We're getting tons and tons of panels like we had in the video yesterday. We're getting the Suicide Squad, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. The entire cast, I think, is actually going to go there. Virtually, of course. We also have like James Wan and Jason Momoa for Aquaman, and of course, Wonder Woman 1984 is going to be there. We're also having possibly Matt Reeves, the Batman's possibly going to be there as well. But one of the more exciting, besides Zack Snyder's Justice League, because that is the most exciting for me. But the other more exciting for me, in my humble opinion, is actually right. It's actually Black Adam. Black Adam is flying to DC Fandome, and Dwayne the Rock Johnson decided to put this up on his little Instagram, and here you can check it out right now. So he decided to put that little Boss Logic edited nice fan art right there, but according to him, it's the depiction of his suit, which looks really awesome, by the way. So this is his little preview of Black Adam. The Rock says the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change. I will be joining the epic and first of its kind hashtag DC Fandome on August 22nd, 2020. This one is for you, the fans. Now, Black Adam, of course, hashtag Black Adam. It's been a while. It's been a while actually finally getting to see more Black Adam. He's been cast in the role for so long, and just the things that I hear about it, where he's, it's going to be Black Adam versus the Justice Society of America, and and maybe just maybe Superman. I mean, they're talking about Superman either appearing either in Black Adam, Aquaman, some other movie, I don't know, or Shazam 2. But I really hope that this will be where he actually arrives. Maybe at the end of this thing, where the JSA is not able to fight him head to head, and then they bring in Superman right at the end of the battle to take him head on. And that would be so freaking awesome, because Dwayne the Rock Johnson has been trying to fight Superman this whole time. I mean, he's got that one picture where he's sitting next to Henry Cavill. They're having a drink. He's intended almost everything you hear him say in comments or whatever in interviews. He's always like, I can defeat, I'm the one that can go head to head with Superman, and Superman and Black Adam fight and all that, those kind of words. And it really pumps you up, because you just kind of realize that Dwayne the Rock Johnson understands that Black Adam is essentially the arch nemesis of Shazam, but he's really hyping up the Superman factor. He's really hyping it up. In fact, one of the first concept drawings that him and Jim Lee and Boss Logic worked on was Henry Cavill Superman looking down at Dwayne the Rock Johnson's Black Adam. So that's the one he's hyping up, and that's one I'm really hyped up too, because I even think that the first time we're going to see Superman, Henry Cavill Superman, besides Zack Snyder's Justice League, may possibly be in the Black Adam. And so if in this panel, just imagine if in this panel, Henry Cavill pops up, one of his windows pops up like how you see it in the StreamYard or Zoom or whatever, and it's Henry Cavill, and he's like, I'm just here relaxing, don't worry about me, just want to see how it goes. Boom, concept art, and Dwayne says, we're going to have Black Adam versus Superman in my movie. And I'm like, what? Right? I mean, they really got to hype it up, I think they really got to hype it up. But what is there to show, right? They haven't shot anything. They haven't done it. They can only have a panel talking and hyping up some more. So I'm really curious about that factor as well, because nothing has been shot yet. This whole coronavirus thing. what is going to happen in this Black Adam movie. It's probably my next really anticipated movie, probably a little bit more than Wonder Woman 1984, to be quite honest. And I know I don't have talked about it much because there's not much news about it, but there's a lot of speculation in any case, right? So Black Adam is going to be at a DC Fandome on August 22nd. 2020. So that is really exciting. Whoops. That is really exciting. Now going to some Batman film updates. All right, so this is coming from DC Movie News. The Batman will restart production on July 6th, 2020. That's coming from them, and which was about right. I thought they were going to start earlier because UK was allowing things to resume filming, but now they got a set date. That's awesome. That's great to hear that they're going to continue making this movie. And a little bit about Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson, according to Film Updates, and this is, by the way, coming from a UK Men's Health magazine, Robert Pattinson says he's committed to pushing boundaries and building up to a point where he can do justice to the physicality required for his upcoming role as Batman in Matt Reeves' Batman. Which is different than the playful interview he had early on, where he said he's not going to work out, he's not going to do any of that, citing, some anger and frustration from, a lot of fans, including John Campia, who ranted on about it for about a half an hour. But according to this Men's Health magazine, he's indeed working out. Robert Pattinson said he's working out 5 or 6 times a week for his role as the Batman, and that the process is making him feel stronger physically and mentally. So, and over here, they also have a little bit of his workout routines. If you're curious, Robert Pattinson's workout routine for the Batman: a regular 5-minute cardio workout, a circuit of bicycle crunches, dumbbells, side benches, double crunches, and a Superman with 3 sets of 25 reps per move, running 5 to 10 kilometers 4 times a week. And this is also, I said, this is also coming from Men's Health UK magazine, which is a far different from what we've heard from before in that other article. And like many people have been saying, he's trolling that journalist. He's just trolling. He's just playing around. And so this is any indication, this is probably where what he's truly been doing. He has been working out, and he's been working out since. As we get closer, of course, he only has a little less than a month, gets closer to when the production start begins for the Batman. So that is Robert Pattinson working out for the Batman role. If you are worried or even curious if he's starting doing anything, as probably as soon as they said, it's time to start, he has got really on to a nice workout routine for the Batman. And not only that, but Zoe Kravitz talks about her Catwoman suit and seeing Robert Pattinson in full costume as the Batman. So this is a fan art by Trinity, but this is coming from Batman Files. That's really awesome, by the way. So on the look of her catsuit, it's funny. I really didn't think about how difficult it is to make something like a catsuit original. Like, how do you reinvent the jean jacket, But Jacqueline Duran, our everything costume designer, is just a genius. It was cool to be part of the process because sometimes with films this big, it can be very much put this on, stand over there, say this. And Matt Reeves is very much about process. The whole thing, designing the suit, began with conversations between me, Matt, and Jacqueline. We kind of birthed this thing together, and there are references to the year of the comic we're dealing with. It's cool. If this COVID-19 pandemic lockdown hadn't happened, it would have already come out by now. I love it. So she says right there, if it wasn't for COVID-19, we would have had the suit by now. We would have had the suit by now. Which brings me to something very curious about that. Why did that delay it? I mean, people were at home. They could have been exciting to talk about while people are at home. There's not necessarily like they already shot her in the suit, and they probably already did. I don't know, maybe they didn't, but I always think about certain revealing things that they, the studio says we can't reveal because of a certain thing, like the COVID-19 thing, in which I don't know how that would actually stop that, but whatever. I mean, they have their own process of revealing things. Seeing Robert Pattinson in the suit as Batman, oh, it was amazing. He's Batman. When he's wearing that costume, he's Batman. It's interesting. You really don't get used to seeing Batman walk past you. We've all grown up with his character, so it's like a pinch me moment all the time. He's wonderful, really wonderful. So that is indeed all about the Batman film updates for that. Like I said, I think as soon as we get to next month, we'll start seeing more. In fact, they might even have time to even I have a little bit of a clip, right? I think they'll be able to put some type of short little teaser, probably more than just Robert Pattinson in the suit walking closely up to the screen, all in the red. Maybe there'll be a little bit more to that in order to show something exciting for fans over at DC Fandome. So be on the lookout for that. That might be actually something that they could probably consider, especially trying to hype people up for the Batman, and maybe even differentiating the Batman from Zack Snyder's Justice League, because it is indeed not part of the DCU. It's kind of its own thing, possibly its own trilogy, and I think it will be a good way to show, especially Jim Lee, really promoting this multiverse. It's like it's not connected. We can have multiple Jokers. You can have multiple Batman, can have multiple Superman, who knows, in different mediums. Either it's a CW, HBO Max, in the movie theaters. Movie theaters can even have their own branching off, like you've seen Todd Phillips, the Joker, and what will be the Batman as well. But speaking about the Batman, right? He's got a sidekick. Yeah, he's got multiple sidekicks, but with different, actual names, right? But his sidekick is Robin, right? We're always talking about Batman, and we're always talking about Robin. Well, in Zack Snyder's Justice League, in the Snyderverse, if as you want to call it, Dick Grayson is dead. Right, Dick Grayson is dead. Now, if you remember, and it's kind of old. I think for the most part, a lot of people still understood this to this day. But I think it's coming back again because of some of the things that we talked about. Whoops, let's make that bigger. BVS. Dead Robin may have been Dick Grayson after all. And this was an article back in April 5th of 2018 where he shared this. Was Zack Snyder, was there Jason Todd story in BVS? And Zack Snyder replied, what makes you think that's Jason Todd? And I think there was even another one. I don't think it's here, but there was one that he said it was Dick Grayson. So that was back in 2018. Of course, I think many people have kind of forgotten about that, and so it's come back, when we're talking about the Robin character. Maruf Hussein says, Zack Snyder, did you mean to say Jason Todd when asked which Robin is dead? David Ayer said Jason was dead in Suicide Squad. Zack Snyder says, no, it's Dick Grayson. It's Dick Grayson. Did you have plans to dive deeper into the background of Dick's death in your future movies? Maybe, let me uncover that. Maybe JL, and he replied, a hint in Justice League. So that's what his plan was, which is interesting. I would love to see what else, what that hint would be. Now, it would probably be the gravestone that we've been seeing a lot from the behind the scenes sets. It would have been like a little glimpse of that, possibly. Maybe, Bruce Wayne goes over and visits that headstone. Who knows? But for me, I buy into that idea. If Zack Snyder says that's Dick Grayson, that's Dick Grayson. I'm fine with it. I'm totally fine with it. I want to see where it goes with that. I am totally fine with that's his story, and I'm ready to ride that wave. I'm ready to be engrossed in that epic story. So I don't really have a problem with that, right? But because I think most of this came up because of David Ayer. David Ayer has been very vocal about his David Ayer cut so far. So he's been talking about it as well. And then, they they sent this to David. And the person asked, "We are very confused after knowing it's Dick Grayson. How come? So please clear this if possible." And David Ayer replies, "What is confusing? Joker killed Dick Grayson. That was Zack's original intent." Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting because Zack said Dick died. David said Jason died. They both died. It's not that hard because I do remember him saying that Jason died, right? So David Ayer says, "I never said Jason died." But of course, people can dig it up, right? They dig up this tweet from September 23rd of 2018. And David says, "I like it. In my mind, it was meant for Batman after he smashed Joker's teeth for killing Jason Todd. Some people found it alienating. Originality and faithfulness to the canon are often at odds. Batman and Joker are my two favorite characters ever." So, Austin Vibes decided to tweet that out to David Ayer. David Ayer responds, "That was a robot clone that said that. The real me is driving the bus today." Whoa, that's very interesting. And it gets more. When someone said, "Or you did, Dave, just a long time ago when Suicide Squad was released." David Ayer replied, "I was either brutally mistaken or just being a team player. Your call." So, and he goes on further, elaborates his last thing. He said this. In response to Nick Friends, who says, "I think with all the talk of a Nightwing movie back then, you were probably obligated to figure that it would be Jason Todd who was killed." David Ayer said this: "Zack had the master plan. I know people are desperate for a Robin story arc. People are reading way too much into all this. Sorry if I get cranky, but all this has been asked and answered." Right? Asked and answered. So that says it right there. And David Ayer has been talking about that for a while now, right? You've seen him post that tweet about how Harley Quinn, that moment in the montage where it says that Harley Quinn helped with killing Robin, and he said that Jeff Johns added that in. He broke the timeline. He also probably broke the timeline overall because Zack Snyder was the essential producer for Suicide Squad, right? So he must have already consulted, and David Ayer says himself, he consulted the whole master plan of it all at that timeline. It's an older Batman. It's a Dark Knight Returns Batman. It's like way in the future. Dick Grayson is dead, and in this timeline, Dick Grayson is dead, and that's how it goes. That's how it's gonna be. But you can see that possibly Jeff Johns has said, "You know what? I don't want this to be the end of the timeline. This has to be the beginning of the timeline. I want it to be the beginning of Justice League, not the ending of Justice League," right? But of course, he doesn't realize, or he does realize, that he's tried to take a 5-part arc and expand that, stretch that out when it wasn't there supposed to be to begin with, right? It was supposed to be just a set arc, like a Christopher Nolan trilogy, but if Christopher Nolan did like 5 movies, okay, it was not supposed to be a beginning of a cinematic universe. There could be spin-offs here and there, maybe even Flashpoint, I don't know. But in this time and now, Dick Grayson was the Robin that died, right? And that's how it was supposed to went. Jeff Johns and company didn't like that. They changed the timeline. They made it. They even had David Ayer say it was Jason Todd. He was being a team player at that time, But now it's different. Now it's possible that we can get back to the time, get back to the original arc, back to the original story, the original plans, that the master plan that Zack Snyder had, right? And so that's why this is really interesting. And that's why I don't actually get why people are getting really upset about Dick Grayson being dead. Look, your Dick Grayson, I've tweeted this out, your version of Dick Grayson, your ideas, your fan fiction of how this movie's supposed to go is still alive in your mind. Dick Grayson is alive in the Titans show. Dick Grayson may be alive in the Batman series. But in Zack Snyder's Justice League, he's dead. Right? Zack Snyder. That's why it's called Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's not your Justice League. It's not my Justice League. It's Zack Snyder's Justice League. And the sooner we can admit that we're here to watch someone else's vision rather than trying to create our own vision from somebody else's, you'll be better off when you'll be able to enjoy someone else telling you the story they want to tell rather than you're trying to tell a story you want them to tell. Because if we're going back to that, and there were no better than Jeff Johns and co. That's what led to Justice League, right? So let's see what Zack Snyder's Justice League is all about. Let's see if David Ayer is able to release his cut, and there's more plans from release the Ayer cut guys over there, RT Ayer cut SS, are making more plans for that. But in any case, we should wait and find out. Let's see what Zack Snyder, what kind of story he was trying to tell us, and I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. Which gets me to this, if I had my tinfoil, but I don't anymore, because it seems like more of a reality than anything. But let's play along anyway, right? Let's play along anyway. So Zack Snyder put out something really interesting, all right? Rebirth? Are we dead? Or just a sand sculpture? What the hell am I talking about? This is what I'm talking about. So Zack Snyder put this on a VERO, and he's at the beach. It says, "I'm at the beach," right? And he puts out this nice sculpture, sand sculpture on the beach, right? Of course, Mr. Ben Everts says, "This means rebirth. What are you guys trying to tell us, Zack Snyder?" And I'm like, rebirth, that's interesting. Because, it kind of reminds me of like Army of the Dead. Then you can go even further. So, is this Snake like, the snakes from back then that made him alter Zack Snyder's Justice League? I don't know. Or, and Ben actually dug this up. Death and Rebirth skull art print. It's an actual art where it's called Death and Rebirth. Rebirth of what, Zach? Rebirth of his DCEU, rebirth of the Snyderverse, rebirth of the 5 movie part arc plan, the whole Justice League 1, 2, and 3. That's exciting stuff. That's exciting stuff to think about, right? Or is it just a sand sculpture? Maybe we're looking far more into this than we really need to. But then Joe Ruiz says, "Is this a cryptic message or a piece of art?" Zack Snyder replies, "Always both. A cryptic message and a piece of art." So make what you will of what this is and what this means, if it means anything at all. But I like to think that there's a greater chance that we'll be able to get to see Zack Snyder's complete vision, especially when DC Fandome, Warner Brothers, HBO, AT&T are truly backing Zack Snyder, hyping up Justice League. Doesn't it just feel like it's more than a one and done? I guess we'll have to wait and see about that. We'll have to wait and see about that. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for subscribing. I'll see you next time.